So, welcome, audience. My name is Andrew Oral Alamar, and welcome to the summit How to Develop Your Psychic Connections and New Predictions for the Future, brought to you by the Thrive Healers Network. Today, we have an amazing guest. An amazing guest. Would you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you. I am Suzanne Alexandria, and I'm a healer's healer. I've come into being a healer's trainer by all counts, doing this work angelically with the high councils of love that really want all of us to be psychic and intuitive as much as we want to be and as much as we can be. So I teach and I do readings, and I really now guide other healers in their enterprises and other corporate leaders of all sorts. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Really awesome. Thank you for being here. So you mentioned both that you're a healer of healers and that you work in corporate. So I'll ask you about both, but first I want to ask you about your corporate work. How do you help corporate entities, corporate beings, corporate, I guess I would say workers, come into their spirituality, develop their spirituality, and understand how to co-mesh their corporate life and their spiritual life?
Mm-hmm. Well, I love it. It's one of my biggest joys to help anyone come into their center of their gift of intuition and connection with the divine and the divine holy order of things, because the divine is so vast and includes angels and your divinity, your own higher self. So I mean, part of it is that I have lived that life, though. So I worked for over 20 years in corporate Washington, D.C. And, that was amazing. I had an amazing career. I ended up working at the headquarters. By the end of my tenure there, I was managing website teams at the FDA headquarters and then the Health and Human Services headquarters right by the U.S. Capitol. And I know that, and back then I didn't know angels were real, and I didn't know I was intuitive. But as you know, I mean, you and I could tell lots of stories. Everyone listening here, even if you've never thought of this notion before, like you've been being intuitive your whole life. Like we are intuitive human beings, and getting really deep and serious about it takes is what takes the practice. But I was even just thinking the other day, like people, as a manager, I was a trusted guide, and people would come to me and I would help them figure out their issues with the management or whatever it is. So what I do now is really inspire the men and women I work with to come into their acceptance that it's a holy, they have a holy order of things too, and they have a tribe and a team. Because to me, if the world gets more and more led by leaders who are going to outside high council, we're going to have a lot better world. And that's my why. And it's not giving up our sovereignty, it's assuming our role as a bridge between the high governance. I'm using a lot of these words right now, which are just coming through, but high governance of ourselves and then our workplaces. And I mean, it's very majestic, and it happens. And that's how I run my business now too. And I'm coming more and more into the merging of both of those parts of me. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I love that you're coming from a place of you were once a person, or you were a person who was in corporate who wanted to create a connection with the divine. So you built that bridge between the two. But I wonder if you would go more in depth as to what really spoke to you to, I guess, spiritually awaken. What was the catalyst that connected you with angels? Like, what was the proof that you found that this is supposed to be, I guess, a second pathway for you?
Mhm. Okay, so frankly, yeah, speaking, it wasn't like I have clients who are in corporate now and they know they want to do this. I didn't. I got bunked in my heart. Like I was really taken out of it all in 2013 with breast cancer. So I'm one of, like, there's a lot of that in the in our sector of like the universe saying, boom, you're gonna do something different. So it was really being diagnosed with something like that that is way behind me now, 10 years ago. Hallelujah. It's not even a part of my life anymore. But it was my that was my own self calling out for help. So it's through that hard way that I started to say, what's going on and why did this happen and what else is there? And it still took a couple years to find angels, angel network. So I found Reiki. I'd already found Reiki and yoga, but you know, it's one of those long paths, which I'm sure probably every listener can adhere to. Oh yeah, I've had my version of that, but kind of now, what I love seeing is that there's people who you don't have to let it get to that extent, something that major to do it. If you follow your heart, right? Like I'm teaching, if you follow your heart and you have an inkling, then listen to it, because you don't have to get yourself sick or receive a big, huge, call from the universe. Though plenty of us have. So that's my how, if that answers that question.
Yeah, it does. And I think it's amazing that you survived this and you were able to come out of it and find a deeper connection to divinity. So
Mhm.
yeah, I commend you for being a survivor.
A thriver.
Yes, that
I don't even think of it anymore. It's like such the rocks on my path.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I've learned to stop needing those things. The more you follow your heart and listen to your guidance, you don't have to have the universe serving up a big calamity in order to pay attention.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and that's my prayer really for leaders.
That's awesome. So, as a healer's healer, you likely work with other healers. How do you support and nurture your well being whilst working with them and whilst, I guess I would say, managing their well being as healers?
Oh yeah. We all get to learn how to do that, right? Like it's been many years of being trained and learning that I get to hold space, much like you're doing right now. I get to hold space and open the field of energy, of reality. And like I've been shown how to hold open. I mean, I call it temple space. I work within the Akashic records. So I literally open energy and guide them now. It's kind of like holding their hand to guide them to see who they are and their gifts, their healer's gifts, and the compassion within them for themselves. So it's taken, I mean, like I said, it's taken a lot of years, but I've been shown the power of working in that way, so that it's actually all on them. It's so taking care of myself is indeed taking care of the situation and not getting so enmeshed that I'm not taking on anything for them. I'm saying, hey, buddy, friend, sister, you got this. You see that? Do you see that gift that you've got? Allow that to blossom. And so, I mean, I also owe it to my whole company to lead by example too. So, I take time when I need to. And I take very good care of myself. Someone said the other day, wow, you like take the best care of your energy that of any healer I know. And it's like, well, I better, because I got a big job, which I love, and I love it. And that's why I'm pretty free with it. Like I used to take on stuff, but I don't. I mean, I don't take on, I created a lot of beautiful boundaries, and I teach that too, because it's this, I believe this epic that we're in is about owning that it's fine and right and just and in fact imperative to really stake your a claim in your own sovereignty and self-agency. And we're all better every time, one of us does that more deeply. It does, and then we still come together and work together. Like I don't do that alone at all. I have my own healers and guides, but I'm being shown time and again the relevance of claiming our agency, and that mandates taking care of our bodies. I'm taking care of my bodies in ways I couldn't have imagined these days. My body, did I say bodies? I guess I all the layers of it.
Okay. So you mentioned that you work in the Akashic Records. Would you explain what the Akashic Records are and why it's so important to you to work through the Akashic Records as a person who works with other healers?
Yeah. Okay. So the Akashic records are the records of everything. I'll just say very broadly, you'll see it described as the history of everything. So even that planet Earth behind you has a history. Does all the stars have a history? You have a history. I do. So does this piece of wood statue of an angel. So does this plant and this mug, the history of how it got created. So that's what it is. It's also energy, and it's I like to say we like to describe it like when you're in Microsoft Word or Pages, and you can go back and track your changes. Your energy field is malleable. All of your energy is malleable, and you can change any of it. That's what we're coming into. Like our consciousness and our minds are so powerful that we have the capacity to bend reality, to move reality. And I mean, we're learning. I haven't done it yet, but like even bending metal spoons and things, like I've heard plenty of stories, and that's all coming out as this magic that we can do because we can access energy and the other dimensions of our realities. And so what was the second part of your question? How does it well, how do I use it with healers? Is that what you
Mhm.
asked? Okay.
Yeah. How do you
Yeah.
how do you help or how do you use it to help them deeper connect with their
Oh,
spiritual abilities?
good. Yeah, I love, okay. That's why, okay, this is why I use it. So I teach a large program, a mastery program for healers to come into their gifts, whatever their strengths are, like energy healing or oracular seeing or channeling angels or beings. And so what we do is go into their Akashic records field and see and witness and identify where in other lifetimes, which are simultaneous, where they've been that. And because it's like full, like a wrinkle in time. I see it like an accordion. So for instance, if you know that you're an energy healer, but you're not sure, I'll take you to, you'll be shown by your guides and your own higher self lifetimes where you've already done that, and then magically assimilate that reality right here, right now. And it really expedites people's capacity to then turn that on in this body, in this lifetime. And so that's like one of the biggest reasons that and ways right now that I use that ability to navigate the records, and I teach others to do the same. Similarly, clearing away old paradigms and stories. Like I do not prescribe spending tons of time in the past, because I'm told it's not about the past, it's about the present. but sometimes we have to understand our past and also eliminate energy from it
Yeah,
that's been holding us, like choking us sometimes. So it's a mix, but it's always with pure love, and it's always um for the sake of like, okay, you want this in your life? Well, let's bring this in. Let's bring this understanding or this energy or this power, this gift. So it's like it's so loving. I think you're nodding, so you know, like that the realm that we work with the angelics and the beings who are guiding us, they just want us to figure it out and go on our merry way and be really happy.
exactly. And that was the reason why I asked you about it, is because I think working with the Akashic and working with other healers is an absolute amazing way to go, because it gives them a direct line. It gives us other healers a direct line to what we should be doing, because as you said, it's the records of everything. So it knows what we should be doing when we're feeling lost.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
why I asked, is because I wanted you to more so explain that. And you did. So thank you.
Yeah, and it's really, yeah, it's really your higher, bigger self, right? That's saying that can whisper down to the human self, like, hey, if you do this, it's probably going to go better. But you can do it that way, but this look at the option this way. So that's another way we use it, right? Like when we have choices, the guides and the history and the records, it's all this system. It's kind of like it's a big council to me, a big library council with guidance, and it's a powerful way to make choices. And that's why I teach it to leaders, like because it's always on us to decide. Like we have free will, and that's what they're teaching us, almost like above everything else. Like you get to choose, how do you want to make it, how do you want that to go? Well, like what happens in the records is you can get deep on, well, what's it potentially going to look like if I choose that versus or that. It's very powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
I wanna pivot to your angelic intuitiveness. Um,
Okay.
and I want to ask, how did you gain trust in your angelic intuition? And also, what angels do you utilize most within the angelic intuitive modality, if that makes any sense at all?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So I always like to say this because while I grew up with angels as a child, it closed off. And it was literally like 9 years ago when I remember sitting on a healer's table, like saying, really, angels are real. So I'd like to share that because people don't need to think like it'll never happen. Um, but I can say the only reason I'm here doing this is because the angels who love us, who love me, plucked me out of the life I was leading that would not have ended well. And I'm always very much in honor of that as well. Like talk about divine intervention. Because I didn't know how enmeshed I was in pain and suffering. So um I just always honor that. And the angel realm for me, it's comprised of all the ascended masters. Like, I mean, I always talked to Jesus my whole life. Um, Now it's also his beloved Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and Isis. I work very closely with Isis and the sisterhood because she guides my temple school, mystery school work. Mary Magdalene really guides my healing teachings, and Yeshua and Kuan Yin has been working and working and working with me because it's been not easy to come into true compassion because of my past. And so the realm of ascended masters is my family. I would call them. They've told me, shown me that time and time again. That's my soul family.
Mm.
And the archangels are ever present, overlighting our whole planet, like what you've got behind you. They are, they hold all of us, and so they have been very, very, very present, and they're always present with our work. I have several angel guides who were living on the planet in my lifetime. One of them was one of my bosses in Washington, D.C. One of them was a leader that we know. One of them was a famous singer that we know. So there's different kinds, right? There's all different kinds, and it's just been so fun and taken a lot of trust to trust that, oh, I really do tap into that, and we really can. And really, I guess I'd say you probably know that. That's what we need to build the muscle for that, right? And
Mhm.
frankly, it's all about trust, like the muscle of trust. So a lot of my work is prodding my clients on and like, you can trust that message that you got last night.
Mhm.
We just need to trust it, you know. I
Mhm.
guess I would say, I think you asked this question. The one thing I would that I teach is, if you think you know you got a message, if you think you got an intuitive hit, or you think that there's someone with you, go with that belief and also say to the universe, well, I'm going to believe that it's this person, or that that's the word I just got. And if I'm wrong, just please bonk me on the head, somehow make it known. Like tomorrow I'll get a phone call and it'll be reconciled that I was not quite, on target. But I always say that because it's like 99.9999 sure that you get it, but we're the ones who doubt. So
Yeah.
I'm always just proselytizing that trust, and until proven otherwise. You're not making it up.
I love that so much. Will you explain, you kind of went into it just a little bit in the last question and answer, but I want you to, I guess, go a little bit deeper into how someone who is just starting off on this path can learn to trust the messages that they're getting, can find, I guess, confirmation in the messages they are getting, and know
Mhm.
they are truly connected to these divine spirits.
Mhm.
Would you elaborate on it just a smidge?
Yep, yep. Okay. Um, well, let's see. If you don't mind, if I say that I just taught a master class on that, on signs from spirit, that's in my library. Where so like what generally happens, what's most helpful is to talk about it. So I offer several places where my clients can talk with each other or with me in different offerings. Because what happens inevitably is that, like, if I share something with you that I just got and you believe me, then I believe myself. And it's not that we're making it up, but one of the big things is dialoguing with like-minded brethren and sisters, like, to because we're learning a whole new vernacular, and frankly, it's like a whole new layer of ourselves that communicates with the divine. So it's really, really important to do it with other people, other like-minded souls, because it's like it's uncharted territory for most of us. Like, our families didn't raise us believing this, and typically our families very often don't believe us. So we're breaking down all these old constraints, so finding others who get it, and being brave enough to say, like, guess what message I got last night. That's one of the best ways to do it. Writing it down does help, And then often when you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, you don't even know what you wrote down because it's way better than you thought. So like those are two ways to build trust. Um, and just staying awake to it. I mean, we had a lot of fun in that class saying like, literally watch for feathers or coins or signs from the divine. And sure enough, I got more feathers than I ever got in 1 week because we made the intention. And the spirit just really wants us to get it. So I don't know. I hope that answers it. It's a combination of being daring and asking to be shown, and also being staying awake. And then also the more I practiced speaking it, it becomes real. Becomes
Mhm.
real in this reality, in this plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think that would be very helpful to people who are questioning the connections that they are making, the connections they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you for going a little bit deeper into explaining that.
Yeah, it's really my pleasure because it to me that's the secret. Everything is a vibration. Everything has a vibration. And we didn't grow up with that notion. You know, we grew up thinking everything's black and white when it's really technicolor, like in The Wizard of Oz. So you gotta like let down your guard and dare to be like, oh my gosh, that energy I feel right now, right here, that really is Archangel Michael.
Mhm.
Wow. You know, it started for me like that. I might share that because like going way back,
Mhm.
for a lot of us, it's about feeling. So I would learn colors. I learned to associate colors with different angels, like blue, like your background,
Mhm.
Archangel Michael. So then I started to get trained. Like every time I would perceive blue, or lo and behold, I'd see a blue stone that would speak to me. Or I would have a feeling right here, for instance, and I'd be like, oh, and I would ask, is that Archangel Michael? And then I would, my go-to, the way I teach it is like, if I stay calm, it's a yes.
Mhm.
If something ruffles me, it's a no. Because they don't want you to be wrong. They want you
Mhm.
to know. So if it was not quite on, I'd be like, well, is it Jesus? And so I started one by one understanding how each of them was to me. So for me, they were feelings in certain places, but also colors. And still, that's how it is. Mother Mary always shows like in a light blue first, because, you know, all her statues are light blue out in the world a lot with her. I mean, I thought I might be making it up, but I'm not. They want it to be easy. So her headpiece is blue on a lot of statues. Mary Magdalene is a deep red. So just honing that sometimes, like and then if my eye would catch that color red, for instance, once in a restaurant, it really honed in. I really honed in on this deep red. And I knew, oh, I'm really connecting with her, and this red is showing me. It wasn't just happenstance. If that makes sense. So
Yes, yeah.
cultivating, it's a training process.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know how that is.
Yes.
We're going to be training, I think, until our last breaths.
That's awesome. So, can you share a story of profound transformations that one of your clients experienced under your guidance?
Hmm.
Like your favorite story?
Um, well, thankfully, I'm blessed with a lot of them. The first one that comes is something that just has happened this morning. So, how about if I share that? I'll share
Yeah.
that. Um, so this blessed woman came to her session with me last fall, and was very had a lot of physical symptoms of sickness, a lot. And in the old version of me would give her Reiki long distance, and kind of like that would be done. But my work has turned into shifting mindsets. So I haven't seen her since then. It was probably last September or October or so. Um, I'll share, she lives in the UK, and she was, and she was a student who took that session to heart and wrote down lots of notes and re-listened to the recording and started to implement what was channeled, because my sessions are channeled through. It's like a prescription. If you'll take it, it's going to work. And I know that now with all my heart. So she came on this past Friday. She knew she needed another session. She got the intuitive knowing, and so we just did it this morning, and lo and behold, she is a different person, because she started saying the mantras that were given to her, and like over and over and over, and claiming her power back. And the session started with all these pretty miraculous things that have been happening in the UK at different churches and with different guides. And she's so stunned. And because this is the why I wanted to share it, because she took on her prescription and she did the work, she got to come back, and we did a massive clearing today of what used to hold her, because she came into her power and has decided not to hold on to all that illness. So it's pretty miraculous, and it works when there's a saying, it works when you work it. When you, like, who would we be not to take the prescription from these beings who love us, the council of love, and who they can see so much, and they want to bequeath us with, like, here's the steps to take. They don't just do it for us, but they'll tell us what's going to help us get out of our messes. So I just, that's the fresh one in my head, and it's pretty profound what we cleared away. And her whole mindset is different, and her physical being is different now. So I'll just look forward to seeing her in a few more months, and she's going to be completely renewed.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love that
Mind,
story.
thanks. Mind over matter.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
how does spiritual alignment um come into play in your sessions and in your yeah, I'll just leave it at in your sessions.
Mhm.
How do you help people spiritually align?
Well, it's pretty much, yeah, what all my work is about. That's like kind of the end game, being aligned so that you're your fully intuitive, lit up self. Um, so how does it come into play? Well, I'm a like a master healer in the sense of adjusting people's energy. So I'm like an engineer that helps finely tune the energy, because it's all about energy and intentionality. So you want to be aligned, you just start saying, I'm in alignment now. I'm in alignment now. I'm in alignment. Bring me everything that's in alignment with my highest, best life, and it'll happen. And what'll also happen is you'll start to have to shed whatever doesn't fit anymore, right? So it comes into play with all of my work, I guess. And how, to answer your question, it comes in through the Akashic records, it comes in through energy attunements and adjustments, and then it comes in through basically prescribing mindset shifts, which often are mantras or practices to get you out of your old energy. Sometimes that's like moving, dancing, switching homes, moving to a new country. Like could be a lot, but like um all of I would say all of our work with my team is about helping people come into alignment because that's the it's like the greatest gift to give ourselves. And then with that we're free, you know. It's kind of how I see it.
That's really, really awesome. So if people would like to work with you, how can they find you? Like if they want to work with you on a one-on-one basis, how would they find
Mm. Well, I'm pretty easy to find, SuzanneAlexandria.com. Get on my email. Get on my email list. I have a newsletter on my website, and also go to SuzanneAlexandria.com/free gift and download. I have a really nice free recorded attunement to your guardian angel, and it can be used for any other angel. If you already know who your guardian is, I'll say, can I say who my guardian is?
Yeah.
Oh, because I love him so much. It's Winston Churchill. He
It's
is my
who?
guardian angel. Winston Churchill.
Oh.
Big gun. Yeah, he came to me a few years ago and said, can I be your guardian angel? I said yes. So so you might get a big surprise, who knows? But that attunement and that guided meditation, it's like 30 minutes. It can be, if you already know a guardian, you can intend to know any of your angels just by placing. And I kind of guide, like if you want to know a business guide, just say, this is to help me connect with a business guide or a healer guide. So that's one of the first things I would do to kind of just get to know me and my work. But get on my newsletter because I like to share stories every week. Also, just, I share different adventures and things. And I have a lot of free stuff on YouTube as well, a lot of free recordings.
That was my next question. Do you have a free gift to offer the audience today?
Yeah. So that recording is SuzanneAlexandria.com/free gift. But then there's plenty of good free stuff on YouTube too. And
Okay.
also connect with me on Instagram.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. Okay, and one more question. Do you have a prediction for the future? And what I mean by that is the future of healing or just the future in general?
Mm, That's a really good question. You're sneaky with that one. I didn't know that was coming. I, I have every confidence that the future of humanity is very bright. I have friends who would say otherwise, but I hold that because um I see the future of hearts like yours and mine and those of us doing this and touching others. Like, it can't help, it's already started a bit of a wildfire.
Mhm.
And I believe and see that that's how, if you want to call it this, that's how humanity is going to be saved. That's how the planet, we're going to have better solutions to resources. I don't believe in limited resources. I believe we have everything we need and more. And the more we wake up, and our young people are waking up, and they have these incredible, ingenious minds, and they're inventing things like shampoo without a bottle and things like that. My prediction is that because we're waking up, and when we all take that on and be really genuine and go through the hard stuff that it calls for and get rid of our old crap, which isn't easy and it's worth it, it's gonna take us to a very heightened sense of reality. And so I just know that. And that's my prediction. It's already being shown. Like, so many of us, and even animals, are higher and higher consciousness. Like, I'm amazed at my cats and the animals in my yard. It's happened. I can see it now. And I don't think that's just me seeing it. I think it's because like there is a lifting. So the more that we all hold that, it's going to happen even faster. So I don't know. I don't despair. I see everything getting worked out.
I love that prediction. That is a really, really wonderful way to end the interview. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much. It's fun. I love you.